Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sharp Edge TV. Good to see you. The NDC's Southern Mandate gamble, one term only, and it must be a Southerner. The NDC sets its 2027 rules, but the Atiku camp is calling it a trap. And fresh from the split, the Nigeria Democratic Congress (NDC) held its first major convention over the weekend, and they've dropped what I call a bombshell rule book for 2027. The party has officially zoned its presidential ticket to the south with a strict condition: whoever wins will only serve a single 4-year term. To reset the nation, Senator Victor Ume is already out defending the move as a sacrifice for national unity. However, the camp of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has issued a blistering warning, saying a southern candidate cannot defeat Tinubu and that this zoning is essentially a gift to the APC. So I have a question. The opposition is now fighting over North versus South before they've even picked a candidate. Is the NDC's Southern play a stroke of genius to steal Tinubu's base, or is it a suicide mission? Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another fantastic show lined up for you today. Please do us a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. We have a fantastic show lined up for you today, and we will be right back. Welcome back. So again, welcome back, Chief. Good to see you, sir. How are you, sir? Hold on 1 second. Say that again. Say that all over again.
I am doing well.
Okay.
In the circumstance, good to be back with you.
That's great. Great. So the question: the opposition is now fighting over North versus South before they've even picked a candidate. Is the NDC's Southern play a stroke of genius to steal Tinubu's base, or is it a suicide mission? The Sharp Edge analysis is yours.
Thank you. There is no new base to steal from Tinubu, considering the fact that in the last 2023 presidential election, he did not really have a commanding eye concerning the kind of victory he scored down South Nigeria. Do not forget that the then opposition party that was able to spring an unexpected surprise, the Labour Party having Mr. Peter Obi and Senator Dati on top of its ticket, was able to make appreciable inroads to unexpected places like Lagos, Edo, and so on and so forth. And they had more than 80% of performance in southeastern states, and was also able to secure victory in states like Benue and Plateau in the north central part of Nigeria. So to describe the entire South as the base for incumbent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is stretching the narrative a little beyond what we know to be the fact. So now, if everybody was looking, I mean, the way most political gladiators from the Southeast have jumped boat of late, somebody would think that, if it remained like that, without Peter Obi in the race, that, everything will become a done deal. That, yes, all these people who were in the campaign will be able to deliver on the promise of putting Tinubu really into the soul of the entire affair. But now, Peter Obi and Dr. Rabi Kwakwaso that has now been described as the OK tsunami may be able to put some check, not on Tinubu's surge really, but on the claims of people like the Minister of Works, David Umahi, and all the others that really created a huge mess, decamping from the platform through which the people handed them a mandate of leadership at state levels, as governors, senators, members, House of Representatives, and what have you. So this is a time for everybody to now again see if things can be properly positioned and they know how much weight any of these political gladiators will be able to pull. But unlike 2023, nobody should look at this as going to be, as something that will be a three-horse race kind of scenario. No. Yes, it may look like a repeat. I'm expecting people like Omoyele Sowore of African Action Congress to really make appreciable inroad, and for him to be able to prove his place in the whole political thing. People have accused Sowore of just being on a kind of a cruise. But I know that he may be an underrated candidate that could spring a surprise. Now, people will be asking, what about the Atiku Abubakar factor? If this is an age in which data engineering becomes something handy, some factors will count against them. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, as to whether he continues to pull the same level of gravitas he's had under his grip since 1992, when he first ran against political bigwigs like the late Chief Moshood Kashimawo, Olawale Abiola, MKO Abiola, and later Bashir Tofa, and principally people in the then Social Democratic Party front, so SDP. One would look at it that it is possible that Atiku may still have a way of pushing things. Now, from the story we are reviewing, it's been said, Atiku camp has reacted. I do not think it is wise for Atiku to make this a personal thing between him and Peter Obi. You won't understand that Atiku, the people continue to lash out at Obi since Obi and Kwakwanso got this their political marriage, and they moved into Nigerian Democratic Congress, NDC. The truth of the matter is that we will be expecting the opposition movement in Nigeria, whether from ADC, that is not yet sure-footed because of lingering judicial challenges and encumbrances on its way, suspected to have been instigated by the ruling party, All Progressives Congress, APC in Nigeria. Now, if that were the situation, I do not think Atiku should dissipate much energy. It is not politically wise to come against somebody who should be a fellow journeyman, like Peter Obi and Kwakwaso, for instance, and then leave the sitting government untouched. A government that has been accused of breaching all the rules in the game, even to the extent that people compare between the constitutional guarantee, the guarantee to protect rule of law, that is constitutionality in Nigeria, and a place like South Africa, where their president has been indicted on some breaches. And in spite of the Congress, or what's it called, the Parliament in South Africa, in spite of the fact that they voted to continue to give President Ramaphosa an endorsement, the Constitutional Court in that country sat and made its independence so clear that there had been a constitutional breach, and they are trying to resume the trial, the trial of the South African president. Unlike in Nigeria, where so many things have been done in breach of the Constitution, and the president continues to hold sway. So instead of targeting or making the sitting president Bola Ahmed Tinubu the target of criticisms in Nigeria, I do not really think it is wise for Atiku to aim his attacks at OK movement, that is Peter Obi and Rabiu Kwakwanso amalgam. That said, the question will be asked, why is the opposition party in Nigeria making it their sole intent to remove Bola Ahmed Tinubu from power? I mean, it could be worth the effort, but that cannot be the sole appetizer on the plate for the opposition movement in Nigeria. There must be a clearly defined core principle and objective for their existence in the first place. That is, they should make it clear that they're trying to emerge and pattern and structure a pact with the people of with the people of Nigeria. That is the critical mass of voters in Nigeria. They should itemize it, articulate it, one after the other, what they intend doing. For example, I love to find on the plate, why do we have more privately owned schools, whether at nursery, primary, secondary, or tertiary level in Nigeria than publicly funded and owned institutions? Education no more attracts the spending priority of the government of Nigeria. Why is nobody articulating the fact that primary, secondary, and tertiary education funding will be back on the plate? Because when you take resources away from these critical social sectors like education and health, you have so much for people to steal. Somebody should put that back on the front burner in the manifesto. But there are so many other things to be articulated. The way we treat our poor in any given society is a plain manifestation of the kind of dignity that we have for the human person. In Nigeria today, people who are called street sweepers, people who do all kinds of menial jobs, are poorly remunerated. No wonder when everybody is talking of, oh, just a tiny clique, a circle of elites command the majority of financial or fiscal resources available to Nigeria. Everybody says, oh, it's the ruling party. It's more than that. What is the reward system for people who work so hard at the bottom of the ladder? In America, people who remove trash and keep everywhere clean, they are paid mega bucks. Some of them earn more money. People who drive those trucks that evacuate refuse every morning, they are paid huge sums of money. People who drive school buses are paid huge sums of money. These are things that should have been spent in making sure that every laborer is adequately rewarded. Every person is really given his or dignified and hallowed place in the social ladder. We don't have that in Nigeria. A party should be able to break this down, and then the duplication of social services ministry different from humanitarian services and all those things. How do they treat the old, the vulnerable? How do they treat the disabled in the society? You could see that kind of treatment in the way a 30-year-old individual who maybe is treated by nature applied for the screening process in Kaduna State, and somebody was asking, "Oh, for it, did your mother and father come with you?" So, because of somebody's diminutive stature, who is 30 years old, they ask him such questions. That's by the APC in Kaduna State anyway. That's a blatant disrespect for the dignity of the human person, the human worth in that individual. And it is so pervasive. All these things should be properly spelled out and taken care of by the opposition movement in Nigeria. So it is not yet time for any of them to rest. Instead of Atiku attacking OK movement, he should focus the whole thing on telling us what he asked for us that is different from what Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been pursuing, that has been a pain for the citizenry in the last 3 years or thereabout. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, join the conversation. We want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. We'll be right back for some other trendy stuff. All right, we'll be back. All right, Wike, the political undertaker. Body judge calls him an agent provocateur as Wike prepares to install an APC governor from inside the PDP. The friction in the PDP has reached a boiling point today. PDP shifting body judge has officially labeled FCT Minister Nyesom Wike a political undertaker, accusing him of acting as an agent to destabilize the country. The trigger, Wike's open support for an APC candidate in the Rivers State House of Assembly primaries, as we reported last week, despite still claiming to be a PDP member. While the APC has cleared 33 aspirants in Port Harcourt today, Wike is essentially running the show from Abuja, leaving Governor Fubara's camp in a defensive crouch. So here's the question. We have a man who is a minister in an APC government, a leader in the PDP, and a kingmaker for 2027. Is Wike the most powerful man in Nigeria today, or is he playing a game that will eventually leave him with no home at all? This is Nigeria. This is Nigeria. Let's hear your thoughts on this one, sir.
Well, Wike is not the most powerful man in Nigeria today. By the Constitution of Nigeria, whatever was originally drafted for the self-preservation, self-perpetuation, and whatever for the man who superintended the entire process originally, that constitution, the late General Sani Abacha, and later the military, you will understand that, why Wike has been able to latch onto the strength of the Nigerian presidency and the might of the federal government to one know, yeah, he's a mighty man. One will be. He is not the one that is really strong. You pull the rug off Wike's feet. Wike would see himself in the true light that he is nothing other than what Russians call a useful idiot. And there have been so many useful idiots in the body politic in Nigeria over the years. They all came, they had their chance on the stage, like performance or dramatist, and when the time was off, with due respect to the memory of William Shakespeare, the British playwright, it's a matter of asking us as electorates or audience, as the case may be, or what's it called, spectators, if they have performed well, and the verdict of history on somebody like Nyesom Wike is going to be very harsh. He's been a poor player, he's been a poor actor, and with any stretch of imagination, I can say with some measure of supreme confidence, because I don't want to sound like him, that Wike has been labeled, unfortunately, elder statesman Bode George is just realizing what so many people have realized over the years. Because if Bode George had realized it, he would not have been part of the bandwagon of the so-called five governors that Nyesom Wike orchestrated in 2023 to undermine the presidential hope of the PDP, the opposition PDP. Bode George was an enabler for him. And so this Frankenstein monster, Frankenstein monster that is troubling the Nigerian political landscape was created by, with due respect, Chief Bode George, a two-star general of the Nigerian Navy, because he retired as commodore. He was one of those who really created this monster that we are dealing with, that is known as Nyesom Wike. You can imagine that Nyesom Wike continues to be in denial and says, and I find this really, really disturbing, the way the media create larger than life individuals and then run to town as if that is what the people want. They were the people that were sold the dummy that Nyesom Wike is the leader, de facto, of the PDP. And until the Supreme Court judgment came about a week or so ago, the CTC now showing that whether it's the iron hand of the PDP or that of the one being led by the other Ibadan people, whom Wike derisively calls Amala Convention, what have you, Dalhatu. The truth of the matter is that they both have been sacked, but in a stroke of ingenuity, the board of trustees came around to save the situation and then put in place a caretaker executive led by the same Dalhatu. That is spiteful to Wike, and he continues to roar and threaten and stroll like a hungry lion in the jungle. And then would say, let me see the signpost anywhere, let me see this and that, and continues to behave like a depraved mind on the political terrain. So if Bode George is not describing him as a political undertaker, if it's not describing him as agent provocateur, in Nigerian parlance, pidgin parlance, people who ask, not today, is it just realizing this? They all did one or two things to create him, and they have to deal with him. Now to the situation in Rivers State. I do not know, like I said in our past production, I do not know, and you too cannot pretend to know. I'm no Nigerian who was not seated where the truce was negotiated between Wike and Fubara. Nobody will be able to tell the terms and conditions of or the terms of reference in the way the peace arrangement was engineered for the two of them. For all I know, politicians can be very smart, and many of them can be very dubious. Some of them can be very deceptive. I do not know where to place any of these individuals that are now really tearing Rivers State apart. Now, it looks like a majority of the people that are with Fubra are really losing out in the screening process. But let me also tell you, it's just a foretaste of the doom that is to come for the FUBRA camp if they do not find a very creative way of responding to Yes Wike, because I suspect that Yes Wike is the man that is power drunk to the extreme. And after he must have engineered the fall of similar FUBRA as the governor of River State, he would also want a situation in which FUBRA would go to prison. Whatever Yesin is orchestrating as a strategy for survival in politics is not going to stop yet, because he's been escaping everything that he's doing. The way he dished, if Atiku had won in 2023, Wike suspected that he would be in prison. He moved ahead of time swiftly to embrace the APC characters that he had always denounced. And then he got rehabilitation with the victory of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, if Tinubu falls from power, you can see that Yes Wike would warmly gravitate and swim towards whoever is going to be the new leader in Nigeria. And that is almost the trait of most politicians in Nigeria. It's the way for them to escape accountability. The among us amount of money belonging to the people that has been spending, all that has been traced to him everywhere. You know, he pretends to be a person of honor, but there's no honor in him. If somebody could betray his political household the way he has done, you would notice that even in his background, wherever he's coming from, he must have done that to his biological family before. People don't just become old and then started displaying the trait of traitors and betrayal or Judas Iscariot. He's always something they have always worn like an emblem of honor. So it's not going to stop. And the only creative way for FUBRA to handle this is to pretend like, oh, he's giving it all up. They should sponsor elements from other political parties, invest massively to advertise and popularize that emerging force, and then FUBRA will become an authentic godfather, and that new force will be able to put Yes Wike in check. That is the only escape route now, because after this thing, or this power play, I can smell the situation in which Yes Wike want to make, want to orchestrate the shipping of Governor Simlaya Fubara after power. They want to ship him to prison. It looks so bleak for him, and he has to really get creative and stop being falsely pious, falsely humble. He should let them know that in the song of the man in Ibadan, the Fuji master there, who sang with a laughing, you heal you cure madness with madness. You know, that's the way to go.
We're laughing,
Thank you very much. Yeah, he has to. He has to
madness with madness.
With madness. That is what Simlaya football should do in this situation. Now, it's been seen that Tinubu will not stand up for him. Nobody will stand up. They made him to do everything. They did not just humble him, they humiliated him, as if it's not a man elected into power. One mad individual in the open arena, pretending to be stronger than the teeming thousands of people who really gave Fuba the mandate. Yes, the mandate was orchestrated, was fraudulently bought for him by Wike, but people should look beyond that. The symbolism itself, the consciousness represented by him being the leader, the elected leader of the people of River State. It's so unfortunate that in spite of everything, this is the way they are closing him, they are shutting him down politically. So, yes, Wike is an amorphous character. he is the person you can describe as the reincarnation of the Eshu Pantheon in Yoruba land. This man is wearing what Yorubas would call the Alabangada garment. He turns to you, he backs you, he faces you. What you see?
It almost sounds like a Gabagibi.
That is the word. He's an Alagabagebe. Very, very deceptive and hypocritical. He's a chameleon, a man that lacks character. So, if they just calls him political undertaker or agent provocateur, that truly is his personality. Thank you very much.
Wow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me know. I really do want to know what your thoughts are. You know, I don't want to just be listening to my uncle. I want to hear your thoughts. I see some of your comments, by the way. So keep leaving the comments. But right now, we want to move on to some other trendy stories around the world. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, follow everywhere. And we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. The 17 member NDC Tsunami, essentially a legislative earthquake. 17 lawmakers have officially dumped the ADC to follow Obi and Kwankwaso into the new NDC. The fallout from the Obi Kwankwaso exit hasn't just hit the streets; it has hit the floor of the National Assembly. During today's plenary, Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu read out defection letters for 17 members of the House of Representatives who have officially moved from the ADC to the newly formed Nigeria Democratic Congress, NDC. One lone member, Leke Abejide, broke ranks and moved to the APC. This massive legislative shift means the NDC has virtually replaced the LP and ADC as the primary opposition voice in the House overnight. We're seeing the birth of a new super minority. Does this sudden influx of lawmakers give the NDC the muzzle to actually block executive bills? Or is the APC just laughing as the opposition rearranges the chairs on a sinking ship? I really want to get this analysis, sir. Let's have it.
No erroneous part from the script you have just read. Leke Abejide has never been part of the Labour Party, never part of them. He was in ADC, and he is also suspected to be a character that is the type that you have seen in Nyesom Wike. And he has never pretended to be. From an interview he actually granted, he said he originally was part of the APC, and that because Honorable Faleke, who was the leader that was jointly elected on the ticket of that party before Prince Audu Abubakar, former governor of Kogi State, who was on the top of that ticket, suddenly died after he'd been elected. That was why he moved away from APC, and that now he's happy to be back in APC. Just for us to contextualize that movement by Leke Abejide. And so Leke Abejide created the troubles. Remember, he was under specific instruction from the Chief of Staff to the President of Nigeria, Honorable Gbajabi Amila, when during the 58th birthday celebration for Abejide's wife. Gbajabi Amila told him to stay inside APC and scatter Atiku and all of them there. And that was one situation when officials of the sitting government were caught on tape, directing and manipulating and maneuvering and scuttling arrangements within opposition party. In Senate climbs, it would have been a terrible, impeachable conduct to have been caught that way. Even Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself, who said stay there and scatter them. Those things would have been seen as impeachable conduct on the part of the sitting government in Nigeria. But that is Nigeria, where constitutionality takes backseat while all kinds of breaches, becomes all kinds of breaches become the order of the day, so to say. Now, to that defection, it's not as if these are migratory or some what you call it, nomadic political moves on the part of the affected legislators who chose to go with OK movement, that is Peter Obi and Rabiu Kwakwaso wave of defection into other political parties, in this case moving from African Democratic Congress to the Nigerian Democratic Congress. And I even smell a situation that is going to be worse, that is going to spell doom for people who left the Labour Party platform to join, to continue to be active connivers and collaborators with the sitting APC government. And those who also went to the National Assembly, riding on the wave of Peter Obi's traction with the voters to get elected, and then they got there, they were just endorsing everything that was APC and executive arm instigated. Now, it is not as easy as everybody is going to make it look like. No, it's much deeper than that. So, for example, in a place like Oshodi Apapa Federal Constituency, where one Honorable Jesse was able to shock everybody in Lagos State, he got voted into the parliament, into the House of Representatives on the platform of a Labour Party. And the fact that such an individual, non-indigene of Lagos State, and really, I don't even like talking about this indigene or non-indigene kind of thing, until some people in Lagos State now are instigating all kinds of stuff, petitions against Honorable Jesse. Honorable Jesse defied all known laws of nature in beating the candidate of APC then, and then he emerged and he held on to his mandate. And since then, there have been all kinds of petitions against him, and he has explained himself that he is not the typical Nigerian politician, that he is untribalized. Because I remember the late Shibola correcting the expression detribalized, that you have to be tribalistic or tribalized before something is taken out of you, like being detoxified, and then that's when you can be called detribalized. But this person has never looked at anything through the prism of tribes, nativity or whatever. He just wants to be a Nigerian, which is a good model for anybody to operate on. And so, in inviting people for some short-term training sessions in faraway places for skill acquisition, that is thrown the whole thing open. But APC elements who are desperately trying to unseat him, to take that seat from him in Oshodi Solo ward in Lagos. What have they always said? Oh, he's always loading the ticket. Something that is his own initiative, that is always loading it with non-indigenous. So they want him to always put Lagos so-called indigenous. And anybody born in Lagos is like somebody telling me that my children who were born here are non-indigenous. What a what a bunker. I mean, I was, is that person really crazy or what? And then, so all those people enjoying whatever initiative is coming from Honorable Jesse in uh, also the Isolo federal constituency in Lagos are being seen as unqualified because they don't speak Yoruba language and all that. So these are the circumstances through which some people were able to ride on the popularity of Peter Obi, to get ahead politically in Nigeria. So now all these people knowing fully well that Obi was their guaranteed ticket for coming for gaining more political relevance. And like I predicted, so many of these people who are selling mouth because they have always seen themselves as being heavyweight, so they are settled with some federal appointment and all that. This election, if it's free and fair, is something that ought to be, the pace will be set by the voters themselves, the common folks out there that have always been described as long-suffering Nigerians. So, in following Peter Obi to Nigerian Democratic Congress, NDC, is nothing other than survival strategy for some of the lawmakers that or politicians that are still wise, especially those from southeast, south, because the other day Obi was able to blanket the entire landscape with his presence and consciousness, and I think we would witness more than a replay of that in the next dispensation. That is what this defection, the gale of defection that you are looking at in the National Assembly, this is what it is about. And some are still there that would be shocked by the people, because if Nigeria were a place where logic would apply, I would say that the pinch you feel in your shoe, the way your pocket is affected by macroeconomics, not the one that is prepared and made salacious by the Bretton Woods institutions of World Bank and IMF, or the International Finance Corporation, IFC. Those may not be what would dictate what the people want. For example, you saw here earlier today the governor of Kaduna State looking at the allegations of 80 billion naira loss through their so-called what's it called, Governors Forum. Allegation leveled against Governor Hope of Imo State, and then he's saying it's a little thing. Those are the dynamics that would dictate the survival of several of these political characters in Nigeria. And because they are not getting it right, those of us in the diaspora to feel the heat. I don't even get it. People who will take 5,000 naira, 2,000 naira and sell off their birthright, their electoral mandate, their franchise, then after the most have elected people who are insensitive to their feelings and their survival, will be disturbing people in the diaspora. This is why many of us are really concerned about the trend in Nigeria. And funny enough, you will still see some of them endorsing the out of tune, out of place agenda of the sitting government, calling people in the diaspora to send them remittances and what have you. So if Nigerians are able to take charge of this, know that elections mean something, and that decision you take in a rash manner would do nothing other than bring rash results and irascible conduct on the part of people in government. I think they will be more focused, or let me say, they will be lesser focused about the processes, about the result, and making sure that the right thing gets done. This is my take on the defections that are being witnessed across the line in Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. So you can hear me, right? It's
Yes.
just making. All right, great. Ladies and gentlemen, join the conversation. Join the conversation in the comment section. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. Yeah, we'll be right back for the last leg of the show. Yeah.
Oladimeji describes Pa Reuben Fasoranti as a father, elder statesman, administrator, pro-democracy activist, prominent politician, and foremost Afenifere leader as he attains the milestone age of 100 on May 11. In a congratulatory message, President Tinubu says Baba Fasoranti deserves all the encomiums for his uncommon life of service and immense contributions to this country. Baba Fasoranti has distinguished himself in all respects in his disciplined, Spartan way of life, his belief in principles, and his commitment to noble causes. His life is a metaphor for integrity, honesty, dedicated service to nation, and true leadership. While congratulating the elder statesman, the president expresses his eternal gratitude to him for his support over the years and for his continued prayers, particularly in his journey to the presidency.
All right, that was a little short something, but before we get into that, sir, ladies and gentlemen, now we move into our final segment. We've had the hard news, right? So let's get it. Let's tone it down a little bit. Join us on our dialogue. And the man himself, our publisher, editor-in-chief, and High Chief Oladimeji Abitogun. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right. So before.
Good to be back.
Yes. So before you continue, here are some more other trending headlines. Ladies and gentlemen, you might want to catch up on. Aisha Shisufu is in the wrong party. She should have joined our party. She would have said that. And she replied, I'm not in the wrong party. And Reuben Wike greets Peter Obi at Abuja Airport amid 2027 election. These people are friends. Don't ever get it twisted, please. Nigeria appoint first special advisor on Homeland Security. Then student shot dead near Unibank campus gate in gun attack. Kwankwaso open to being Peter Obi's running mate in 2027. Last but not least, Tinubu hails Pa Fasoranti as enduring voice for Nigeria's unity, paying tribute to Fasoranti. Tinubu said, Chief Fasoranti gave voice to the underrepresented and sacrificed his comfort. In doing so, he rejected the convenient silence of the privileged and embraced the burden of advocacy, the loneliness of principle, and the risk of standing with those society was tempted to ignore. Give us your final word for today. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Ola. What a glowing tribute from a man who also did everything possible at a point in time to bifurcate and undermine the leadership, the credible leadership provided for Afenifere. Afenifere, as Baba Reuben Famuyide Fasoranti would always put it. I mean, when you say R.F. Fasoranti, the full name is Reuben Famuyide Fasoranti. The way he would always describe Afenifere as a socio-cultural Yoruba movement. And he was listening to many of us that counseled them that Afenifere should not be seen as the Yoruba equivalent of the Alliance for Democracy. And I think some of us had that vision then that, so after Alliance for Democracy, what becomes of Afenifere itself that has endured from the 50s to time and probably for years to come. And they listen and they provide umbrella cover for everybody Yoruba, whether PDP, APC, etc., etc. Let me put it this way. Most headlines this week celebrating the centenary, the 100 years of Baba Fasoranti, were saying he was born in Ondo State, as if he just dropped in the middle of Ondo State from nowhere. No. He was born into an illustrious family. Specifically, he was born May 11, 1926 at Usho, our local government of Ondo State. And what is Usho? Through all kinds of linguistic transformations, the word Ilu Ishowo, trading post, got shortened over time. Yorubas will call it Iparoje and Asuki. So the word Ishowo now became Usho. And that is said plainly in the native Akure language. Usho, Ishowo. So we should get that. That was where he was born. But although he was born 1926, May 11, at Usho, to the illustrious family of Obasaya Famude. Of course, the root of that Obasaya Famude family is in the family of Odopetu Adubolu of Akure. Odopetu Adubolu was the father of the great progenitor of the Obasayas, Fakulude. Fakulude begat Famude, and Famude was the father of Chief Fasoranti's father, Baba Jacob Fasoranti. Jacob Fasoranti had other siblings. You have heard of Baba Samuel Adebayo Fagboyegun, the father of the most consequential business mogul that has ever been seen in some parts of southwest Nigeria, late Canon Johnson Oladimeji Abitogun. Famude was also the father of the father he was. He was the father of the Falons. He was the father of Fadero and other people, like the mother of the later Baba Abel Ayeni. So, such a great family. And he started his life from St. Andrew's Primary School, Usho. But in 1931, there was a major rift between his father and Baba Jacob Fasoranti was an Anglican lay reader at Usho. And then he had come back, wanted to settle to start a farm, but the then Oloba Ake of Usho, who, by the way, was described as a kind of tyrannical leader, because if there was tyranny in Egba that led to the deposition of Alake, there were similar situations all over different Yoruba communities, and that was the kind of a person Oloba Ake was. So, but in this case, he was challenging the fact that Baba Fasoranti had sent people to a land that was believed to belong to the Oloba royal family of Usho, which in itself was said to be like exclusive preserve. And he ordered the cutlasses, the machetes being used on that farmland by hirelings of Baba Fasoranti to vacate. And Baba Fasoranti took with him, or had agreement with him, with his friend, the late Baba Obanla Adekonye, father of late Dr. Samuel Adefemi Adekonye, the owner of Time Cola Beverages. So you see that in the lineage, these people have always been great, and is a manifestation of the prayers pronounced by Famude on generations of his forebears, including Yuola. Of course, you know you are a descendant of that family. So this was how Chief Fasoranti was born on the shoulders of his father in 1931, and they relocated to Ayede Ogbese, the other side of Ogbese River. So if you are describing many of us from that area as people that were born on the plain of Ogbese River, you will be right. But Chief Fasoranti has always been conscious of his place as an Akure person, somebody from the Odopetu Adubolu family from Akure, and he has always embraced that, which is why over the years he did not only he did not just emerge as a leader from Usho community, Ayode Obese, but even Akure as a whole. And I had several interactions with Baba Fasoranti. He was one of the people who blessed me when I got married in year 2000, when I was hot in the line of duty as a journalist in Nigeria. Baba will come, he has a way of just being around you, even before you know it, he's announcing his presence. He came to see me at home in Akure and told me about the dirty politics, the intrigues going on within the Alliance for Democracy then. How he was going to be framed up by the city governor. Meanwhile, he was the one that was supposed to be the governor of Ondo State. He declined just because he had to do it in honor of his late wife, Mommy Diwura, an Ondo indigene that he married. Baba did not just attend St. Andrews Primary School show. He attended Ondo Boys High School, later Yaba Aya College, University of Ibadan, and then some education in Australia. He was a teacher. One day we were interacting. I said, "Oh, Baba, tell me more about how you and your late friend Olaya Fagba started a book representation company with the late Bola Ige, Chief Fusha Felumo, and Baba Michael Adekunle Ajashi." Very quickly in that conversation, Baba Fasoranti corrected me. He said Shibola Ige was a student at Government College Ibadan for Professor Wole Soyinka. So he's been able to mold not just individuals, minds, and many of the people who passed through institutions started by him. Institutions like Akure High School, institutions like Omolere Nursery and Primary School, St. Francis College in Akure there, all thriving. And he was instrumental to the establishment of Ijuta Bolu Anglican Grammar School in those days. Such a great man. And this thing about turning 100 years, longevity, is in the gene of that family. His father also made it to 100. Baba Jacob Fasoranti made it live well above 100 years. So that is alive today, and we all are able to join in celebrating him. Is worthy. But this is it. If you live long, you will see so many things, some ugly, some impressive. In this case, the one that is so interesting to me is President Ahmed Bola Tinubu at a time decided to form Afenifere Renewal Group against the mainstream Afenifere being led by Chief Fasoranti. But because Chief Fasoranti has lived long, his enemies, his political friends, everybody is finding peace with him. Very instructive. Thank you on that note, Ola. And now, you were mentioning how some students' body was found somewhere.
I'm not. I'm here, sir. I'm not sure. I just wanted to give you some headlines. Let's not get into. Let's finish this on this note.
Okay. So it's a worthy celebration for Baba Fasoranti, and let me tell you, we've been having very good conversation, very good discussion with members of that family, whether it's Auntie Fumi, the elder surviving daughter, whether it's Dr. Kende Fasoranti and Dr. Taiwo Fasoranti. One thing they told me was that Baba chose a low-key centenary celebration because of the situation in Nigeria today. Yeah. Ever humble. When we were growing up, whenever Baba came to Ayode Obese, anytime he was always in Ayode Obese. So, his father was there, extended family there. He would leave his car in front of his father's house and would swiftly move around town to greet some important people.
He will walk the street just to say hello.
Yes, like any ordinary folk. And to him, my father was Ogakoni, and so on and so forth. He was, or let me say, he's such a grassroots person. Even when I was installed on the operator of Ayode Obese, he also called me for private interaction. And there's somebody I honor like a true father. And you know, I answer Reuben as well. In
Yes.
Arabia, because
Uh-huh.
of Oga Reuben Fasoranti, you will find several Reubens. You will see Oga Reuben Adeshina. You will see Oga Reuben Oluyede. You will see so many Reubens because of this our great forebear. He impacted the community. The fact that community comprehensive high school, where I had my secondary education, was established was because he played active role and giving us a first grade school principal. Later, Chief Joseph Olubi Aladesoyin to kickstart the entire thing. Although our parents, everybody, unlike today, that people don't get involved in community initiatives and efforts in Nigeria.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. As I asked him, were you mandated to make sure that school happened? He said it was a marching order from his father. That
See,
is the man we are. Yeah, that is the man we are celebrating.
not to interject, you've done a fantastic job giving a very concise, clear bio of this great man. You know, I remember him very well. A few times I visited Nigeria with my dad. I was able, well, to keep it short, because you've done a great job. I don't want to override that by any means. He's a first cousin to my grandmother. And it's a pleasure, it's an honor to be connected to someone like this. What I remember the most about him, he's still alive at 100, by the way. What I remember about him is the warm embrace. I don't know if that's a way to describe. There's a warmness with the way he embraces people, you know. So it's just it's awesome to know that this kind of man can still be celebrated in Nigeria, you know.
And when he speaks to you, he has that gentle tone of, characteristics of the Fasorantis.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yes. That's
When you get a chance to review this after, the picture I have on the screen right now really captures who he is. Yeah.
Yes, and Ola, don't forget that even as a grade 1 school principal, he was not just at the time the principal of Christ School, Ado Ekiti. He was principal of Olivet High School, Oyo.
Yes.
Apart from being the pioneer of Digital Bolu Grammar School, at age 29.
The list goes on and on, sir.
He told me one thing about power devolution and resource management in Nigeria. When he was chairman of Akure Council, he was able to tar some major roads in Akure. Today, no local government does that anymore in Nigeria. We have to. It is a must for us. Go back to that situation in which government will be government, whether at local level, whether at state level or at federal level. That's a word of wisdom from Chief Reuben Fasoranti.
Yes. I'll say this one last thing, sir. A very popular name when I was growing up, and you would be lucky to be a part of that institution, was Omoleri.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
the school that produced Barrister Ademola Adegoroye, former Minister of State for Transport in Nigeria.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you hear Fasoranti, just know that there's no way we can put this in 10 minutes. It's impossible. It's impossible. Yeah. Thank you so much. That's another good one in the bag, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live very soon. We'll be back sooner than you think. Take care. God bless.